Welcome to Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter, and I'll be your host this evening. I want to extend to you my gratitude for you watching Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts. I hope you're watching this and enjoying it. And if you're watching this as a replay, I want you to know that I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening, starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please make a note of this so you can watch or be part of the live stream. Plus, we have an after party following the live stream, which is sometimes better than the live stream portion. You must be a registered Stunt Hangar Forum member to find the link to be part of the live stream and the following after party. Here at Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, and what you've been doing lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunt Hangar Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench, which is right below in memory of our friends. Now, if you're not a member or if you're not logged into Stunt Hangar Forum, the At the Bench link will not appear. Now, if you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com/SMF. That's stunthangar.com/SMF. That's Smart Men Flying. That's courtesy of Jeff Riley. You must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address or Sparky. The proprietor of Stunt Hangar will not approve you. Now, if you're inclined to not come in and just enjoy watching this on YouTube, wonderful, fantastic. You can get your questions or comments right over here at the chat box. I'll do my best to make your comments or questions a part of the show. Now, understand, you only can do this during a live stream. So like I said earlier, I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, if you find the Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts that I host or the many building videos, contest coverage that Sparky does on this platform enjoyable and informative, please hit the thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. That's the like button. Subscribe, share, comments on the videos also help. Please consider joining Stunt Hangar's YouTube channel memberships, which start at just $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. And by the way, I'm a member myself. I have the $4.99 come out of my own checking account each and every month, and I don't miss it. And I suspect you won't miss it either. Plus, you'll be supporting your hobby, which I hope you're just as passionate about as I am, and you want to see the hobby to continue to grow and prosper. So please consider doing that. Also, if you can't do the monthly subscription or have an aversion to something coming out of your checking account, you can do the super chat. And there's a right below the chat box, there's a big dollar sign, and it's called Super Chat. You can donate that way, and it's not a monthly subscription. And also, there's the Super Thanks. If you're watching this as a replay, there's 3 buttons below the video. You hit those buttons, those dots, and it'll have a little sub menu, and then select Super Thanks, and you can donate that way. That's during a replay. That's how you do it during the replay. Now, your support helps offset some of the expenses of running Stunt Hangar. With your support, especially if you're a member, you get special badges that Spark and I can see when we're watching the chat box. We can see who our supporting patrons are, and we really appreciate them. And what was I going to say? You also get access to member-only videos. As a member, not all the videos are public. Some of them are members only, some of them are private. And so if you want to see some of the videos, matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the last video that we did Friday night, I wouldn't be surprised if that becomes a member only video. That was a fantastic video with Howard Rush. So you have access to those member only videos when you join our YouTube channel. Now, this is Sparky's YouTube channel. So if you want to get in touch with me, if you have any comments or questions or suggestions, please reach out to me at my YouTube channel, which is called Flying Control Line Stunt. Repeat that. That's Flying Control Line Stunt. And if you would check out the 2019 AMA National Championship video, which is a video that Sparky shot with his video camera, me flying his beautiful and light Junar XL. It was orange back then, and now it's a white predominantly base coat with a little bit of trim. It's orange. Check it out, and please like, share, subscribe there as well. I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. You are making a difference. Please keep the conversations family, room friendly. In other words, we don't use words or do things you wouldn't say or do around your own children or grandchildren. And without any further ado, and now I'm going to post the link at the Stunt Hangar forum. Let me go there right now. Let me see here. Thank you. Let me post that link here. All right. So the link is posted and it's titled Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts Monday, February 5th, 2024. So check it out. Hit refresh. If it's not showing up, hit refresh, and it'll show up. Click on that link. That'll bring you right inside here into the show. Now, I have people ask me sometimes, how do I get in? How do I do it? Well, that's how you do it. You have to be a member of the Stunt Hangar forum and then go to at the bench and then click the link with today's date, and that'll bring you right in here. And let me go to what I call the control panel, making my way there very shortly. Let me make my way there now. Hope everybody had a good weekend and had a chance to work on some planes or work on their shop and have something to share with us tonight. I love show and tells, so please don't hesitate to do that. I appreciate it. Making my way there to the control panel. I see we have 9 concurrent viewers and 4 likes. So if you haven't hit the like button, please smash. Now we had 5 likes. If you haven't hit the like button, please do that, and I appreciate that. In the chat box, we have Gary Sinclair, and he has a monitor of our chat box. He's also a member of our YouTube channel. He says, "Hi everyone, like provided." Thank you, Gary. Look forward to seeing you tonight. And Terry Forbes, he says, "Hi Charles, model fanatics." Terry and the Pirates checking in from rainy South Florida. Thank you, Terry. You should come in sometime, Terry. And then Henry Bruce, he says, "Hi from rainy California." Henry, where are you at in rainy California? I'm in southern rainy California. Thank you for coming in, Henry. And then Mark Lumen, who's a member of our YouTube channel, has got you liked, and he gave us 3 thumbs up. And then we have Marcel Legrand. He says, "Hi, Charles, and everyone at Stunt School." Marcel Legrand, I missed you Friday. Hope you've had a chance to watch the replay of the Howard Rush presentation on the control systems geometry. And then Steve Berry, who's a member of our YouTube channel, he says, "Hello." Thank you very much, Steve. You should come on in too. And Henry Bruce says, "Orange County, Seal Beach." Yes, I know where that's at. I've been up through that way. Hey, Henry, come on in. And I'd like to see if you where do you fly at in Orange County? That'd be interesting. John Skukulek, he's a member of our YouTube channel, gave us a like. Thank you very much, John. Anyway, so we're up to 12 concurrent viewers, 8 likes. Again, if you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. That makes a difference. It helps the analytics of the show, puts the show on a recommended view when you go into your home channel of your YouTube feed. It'll show up as a recommended view. Anyways, I remember someone asked last Friday in the chat box, "Who's Charles?" This is Sparky's channel, so I don't bother to change the name there. You see thing Stunt Hangar there. That's me. I'm Charles. Just in case you're still curious who Charles is, I am him. And then Marcel Legrand says, "Hi, Charles. Yes, I seen it. I had to go to a funeral. I'm sorry to hear about that. But I'm glad you did get a chance to check out the Friday's show. I thought that was fantastic information. You know, one of the things that one of my complaints about most of my airplanes, I've actually have fixed it, is that the planes don't turn the same. And Tim Just, I met him at a contest last year, and he had used that system that from Howard Rush, and he said his plane turned exactly the same, both inside and outside after use. And he had problems in the past of planes not turning the same. And so I'm a believer, even though I haven't done it yet, but I will. But there is another way to fix that. I mean, this some people will say that doesn't work, but I have 6 planes that I have fixed when they didn't turn the same way. And I'm not talking about the traditional way of fixing it, where you adjust the push rod between the elevator and the flap. I actually I do a little bit of that, but that doesn't necessarily always help. I find that the push rod between the bell crank and the flap, I've put a left hand and right hand thread ends on it, and I'm able to adjust it there, and that really helps. And it probably is fixing something that's not right in the plane in the first place. So if you build it right, you shouldn't have that problem. Hey, what's happening? How you doing, Brendan and Angstrom?
Yeah, Angstrom's with me here. Yeah, we're
All right.
doing fine.
What'd you
We're
think about the show last Friday?
you know what? The show last Friday was a little over our heads for where we're at.
You're not alone. I know a lot of people probably did not know what they was even talking about.
Yeah, and then Howard. I don't know if you saw the post I put on Stunt Hangar and whatnot. Howard made a little wise crack about the verbiage, the people that dropped in and dropped some messages and stuff. So
Yes.
we were reading that on the sidelines, Tony and I, and then all of a sudden you asked a question, and we were like, "Oh no, they got in here on that." So
Yes, they did. Yeah. Matter of fact, that I had so much uh traffic coming in the chat box. I mean, I haven't had to delete, remove so many things. It's amazing. I was busy as all get out, just hammering people out because they
yeah,
were.
yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on. You were trying to, yeah, I'm sure navigate a whole bunch of stuff, and then they slipped one in there like that, and it's like, how funny.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we're working still on our SV11. That's what we got going on. Actually, you want to show off your one plane there? So I got a racing plane. You've seen it before, the Buster that we've been working on.
Right.
Now, uh, my mother-in-law is an artist, and so she souped this thing up. If you see some of the stuff, you
Yeah,
got
I see that.
the pilot, the flame with the 57, and then
Nice.
in the back we got an angstrom symbol. I don't know if angstrom is a unit of measurement, and you got an
Yeah,
A with a circle on the top of it. It kind of looks like the old Anaheim Angels logo, but that's
very
what an
good.
angstrom is, the symbol for an angstrom. So um, we put this on our racing plane just to add a
Very cool.
little
Looks
pizzazz.
nice.
Very cool. Yeah, it does look nice. Now, this model is a Buster or something else.
Yeah, this is a Buster, and the paint is questionable, especially with the fuel coming. So I plan on putting polyurethane on it. I don't need this to be the lightest thing in the world because it's probably only at Brodax that we're ever going to really fly this. So going to polyurethane it is the plan to kind of keep everything fuel proof and keep all the print from running, and then we'll check out the rest of it and get it in the air.
Very good. So, what's going on with the SV11? Your profile SV11.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out some stuff with the flaps because we were given a ARF wing that would have required a full body, and we're making it a profile, and so that means the flaps that we were given are a little on the short side. So we're kind of adding a little bit of extra in them to kind of squeeze things together. And then I think I'm going to put some sort of plywood, like real thin plywood on it to kind of help provide a little more stability as we extend that flap and use what we originally had. I mean, we could use a whole new piece of balsa, but the design, the edges, and all that stuff, it's already pre-done with this, so it's a little easier just to add kind of an extension, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're working on. We're trying to extend these things out. And Angstrom, I let them down last night. We had these flaps completely covered with Monaco. We were ready to go, had done them, and I'm like, they're short now that we don't have a
Right.
full body plane. So we had to
Right.
undo all his beautiful Monaco work and to extend these things out.
That happens in model building all the time. You make a couple steps forward, and you end up having to go back 2 or 3, 4 back. and then you start over again. It happens to me all often.
Yeah. So yeah, one step forward, two steps back, three steps forward. Yeah, it's a game. We'll get there.
You will just keep at it. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming in. I appreciate it, you guys. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
We still. I think Bob Whitley's going to come in later and hopefully show us something related to our flaps. So if he gets on here, maybe he'll kind of show. He said he'd have something to show us. And then if we get Dennis on here, I still got the colors for our SV11 we want to reveal. But again, it's kind of Dennis inspired, so we're waiting on him.
All right, cool. All right, let me see. I think who came in next? I believe it was Gary Sinclair, but his camera's not working. And then I saw Ed. How you doing, Ed? Ed
I'm
Washington.
doing fine and stuff. Couldn't stay through the whole last Friday, but I was there for much of it and was thankful for Howard for what he did and put on and stuff. So that was nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of making pilots, um, let me show you. Let's see here. I got to go back. I got to share screen. What the heck? Share. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
So
made
I
that?
sorry.
You made that? Made that pilot?
Yeah, well, I painted it, but that's for my one of my RC planes, and I needed something for my control line.
Very
So
nice.
I took a snapshot of that, and then did some. Let's see here. I need to stop share, and then I need to go to the other photo that I have. And what I did was is I did a little bit of fooling around. And let's see here. Now I got to go and share this again. Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So you see how I reduced it?
I can't tell that you reduced it, but I believe you.
Yeah, I reduced it, found the radio, reduced it, and got some light blue, and got a different gun sight from there. And that's going to make a sticker to put on the side of the profile.
Oh, that's a good idea. It's
So,
a good idea.
something different,
Yeah.
something different. So I thought I would just show that since we were talking pilots.
And this is going on. Which plane is it going on?
Um, it's a P-51B from Pat Johnson,
Oh, good.
one of his kits. Yeah, I'm getting closer to finishing it and stuff.
Oh, very, very, very good. Very, very
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So anyway, not too much other than that going on. Could have flown yesterday, but I had too many other commitments, which was a shame. We were at 60 degrees, which was
Yeah, oh,
amazing.
that is a shame. I hate when that happens when I have so much to do and the weather's really nice. I hate that, but sometimes I got to do that, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. And that's so anyway, that's it. That's it for me. Stay dry tomorrow.
Yeah. So did you, but one last question, did you go back and watch the replay to catch the rest of the presentation from Howard?
I need to go back and get after you were done with Howard, the last maybe 20 minutes or so.
Oh, so you saw the whole presentation. You just,
Yeah,
oh, some of the questions. Yeah, there might have been a question that was asked that you might have. So yeah, that
yeah.
might be good.
No, it was interesting, and that to see that, and I I can see where he was coming from, and that so that was much appreciated there, Howard.
Very
Thank you.
good. So let me see here. I'm going to go to John Skukulek and then Mark Gerber. Hey, John, thanks for coming in.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you. Once again, Howard, thanks for that presentation. I've watched it live and I've watched it twice since then, and I'm still absorbing it one piece at a time. Not all the way there yet, but I just really enjoyed that, even though I didn't understand all of it.
If there were any jokes there, hearing them more than once, you're not.
That's the amazing thing. They were funny the second time.
Oh, I didn't know there were any.
That was part of the enjoyment, the wonderful knowledge and the wonderful presentation with your sense of humor. It was magic.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm I'm something,
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You been making any progress on your plane, John?
Yep, still hacking away at it. It's a science experiment. I started with a top flight Nobler ARF, and I've just ripped it apart, and just so I could learn how to put in adjustable lead outs and a suspended bell crank and a tip weight box and a few other things, and it's just taken me forever, but I consider it more of an experimental learning process from which I'll take the skills when I build my next airplane soon.
Very good. So what did you do to the bell crank?
I put that's a plank mounted bell crank, and so I tore into the center of the wing and put in a suspended bell crank.
Okay, good.
And then on the wingtips, those wingtips are a piece of thin plywood that shape the tip, and then there are ribs. And because I wanted to get the lead outs centered inside of the wing, I had to remove part of that plywood and all the ribs, and then rebuild the ribs and figure out a way to put the adjustable lead out right in the center of the wing. I don't even know that was necessary, but I turned it into a project.
Yeah, the way I did mine is I actually I cut off my wingtips completely, and then I used two blocks that I glued together, I tacked together, and I shaped them. Then I hollowed the blocks out, and then I put the just the lead outs there. But the type I used weren't the sliders, the type with holes where you pull the lead outs, you pull these
like Sparky uses.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you pull the eyelets out and you move them back or forward.
Yeah,
that's how I did my Nobler.
I would never do it again the way I did it. It took forever.
Mm.
Absolutely took forever.
But what's forever? What's forever? How long have you been working on it?
I started it last February.
I think mine.
But I didn't work through the summer though. I flew in the summer. I didn't build. So
yeah, mine took.
I'm anxious to finish it so I can start my next airplane.
I understand that too. Thank you very much. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Mark Gerber. I'm sorry, I met Mark Gerber. I know there's two Marks here. Sorry about that, Mark Wise.
No problem.
Mark Gerber, what's going on with you? Is your mic plugged in? Well, it's not working. Let me come back to you. And then Stuart. So Stuart, what's going on, Stuart Morrison?
Not too much. I pretty much got the twister done now. I got came out at I waited today because I was curious. It was 38.4 ounce. So that's kind of middle of the road, I think, for a franchise twister, or at least that's what it says on the plan. So I'm kind of right in the middle. So
You gonna show it to us?
well, I can. I guess I'm getting old. It's hard to get up,
Yeah, I understand, especially when you get comfortable.
I got to put some graphics on it yet. Yeah, I'm going to do some stuff on it, but
Yeah, it looks nice.
But oh well, not bad for my first one.
No, it looks nice.
So we'll see how it goes.
It'll go good. It's a good flying plane. Even the regular twister is a good flying plane. So it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So other than that, I'll keep working on the Nobler. That's the next one to finish off.
Very good. Very good. So Mark Gerber, you have your microphone figured out yet? No, not yet. And John Miller, what you been up to, John? Uh-oh, I think you froze up.
Well,
Okay. Let me go to Mark Wise. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Well, good. I'm your best of the last three speakers.
I know you are. You are.
Actually, I had a great experience on Saturday. I drove, it's about 2 hours to Annandale, Virginia. And the reason I went is that Scott Richland and a bunch of guys from the Northern Virginia Control Line Club had invited Tim Stagg, who lives a little, well, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half away down the Eastern Shore, to present his work. He's working on alternatives to balsa in his control line stunt airplane building. And what he did, he brought a slightly changed version, but a big airplane of a Stiletto 660 electric that he has already flown. And what he used some balsa in certain areas, but he used a product made by, oh shoot, I'll find it before this is over. A Pergo that makes flooring. Okay. Well,
That makes
Pergo
what?
makes a very thin foam to use as an underlayment under their Pergo floors.
Okay.
That creates kind of a floating floor. Well, that foam has some neat qualities to it. So he tried to make his airplane, and he did, with the Pergo ribs, and each wing half was covered with the Pergo thin foam sheet. Now this stuff is available at Lowe's. I know that for sure, and he probably he thought it'd also be available at Home Depot. It's an accordion size group of sheets that are covered on one side with kind of a sticky peel off. Material itself is not sticky. There's nothing on it. And I thought he said maybe he spent $60 and he could easily build probably 4 airplanes with it. Okay, as much as he
Wow.
used that. So
Wow.
it's a good deal. The foam is flexible. In one direction, it's fairly stiff. In the other direction, it's a little bit easy to bend. But he cut the ribs out of that. He used balsa for where normally balsa would be, top and bottom spars, leading edge, trailing edge. And then he covered the airplane with one top and the bottom with one piece of this foam sheeting. He used a Gorilla Glue polyurethane, so it would expand a little bit and get into the foam. And once he had that done, he covered it with 3/4 ounce glass cloth and a thin layer of epoxy, slow setting epoxy. After that, he put on, I think, oh, I'm trying to remember who makes the product. It's available at all big stores. It's a crystal clear coating made by one of the paint companies. It's not fuel proof, but it does take care of the pores very well. And on top of that, he shot 2 coats of paint, water-based latex. Okay. So when you look at the plane, you can see part of it is the balsa color and part of it is this white foam. The plane apparently flies really well. It came out a little bit lighter than a balsa typical alternative. But the big deal is the cost. You know, he's not paying $4 for a 3x36 contest balsa sheet. So his purpose was not really to make a lighter airplane. His purpose was to make an airplane that was as light and keeping the construction costs down. But not only that, the ease of finding that material versus finding quality balsa wood. So he also used on the tips, on the fuselage top deck at several places, a 2-pound blue foam. And we've all seen that blue foam, but you can get it in 1-inch thick sheets at the big stores like Lowe's and Home Depot. and it was very easy to cut. It's very easy to sand. It's very light. And what he did on the wingtips, he took the dimensions off the tip rib, of course, and figured out how wide it was going to be. I think it had to be about 2 inches wide. Um, and sawed it and then used, I think he used 80 grit paper to shape it. Came out very nice. He covered it in the 3/4 ounce glass cloth, which really covers easy, with the epoxy. And then he took a old Weller soldering gun, took the tip out, and we've done this before, and he put in electrical wire, the single strand solid electrical wire you may find in Romex, and he cut it out to a shape, and then he would hog out the foam where it really wasn't necessarily inside the tip, and the tip was weightless. It was incredibly light, very smart. So it was a nice presentation. He showed how he did certain things. He showed what materials he used. He likes West System stuff. He said, it's not cheap, but it works really well and it lasts forever. It was very interesting. Scott took a lot of, I think, video and stills. I took a few, but they're not on here yet, but I'll get them on here so I can show you what it looks like. And Scott supplied lunch, and then when that was over, I had suggestions if I would talk about Pampa, and that went well. I talked about the good things that are going on in Pampa, the constant negotiations with AMA. Didn't talk much about the world or the Nats. Had some good ideas. One of the gentlemen there spent a lot of time and did about a 10-page presentation that he gave me about what he thinks Pampa should look like in terms of focus. And he said, when you think about it, there's only one thing in common with everyone who is a member of Pampa and is a flyer. And he's right, and that is the pattern. No matter where you go in the country, if you see a guy flying stunt, the odds are he's flying that George Aldrich pattern from the 50s, right?
Right.
And he said he thought that was a good way to, keep people together at Pampa and a whole bunch of things. So it was very nice. I enjoy going to other people, looking at their shops, and especially a hands-on presentation that he did. It was impressive. He's flown the plane. He's bringing it to Brodak to fly in competition. He's going to get hurt on pattern on appearance points because he left it just the way he had it. It's kind of a whitewash, white paint on the wing and stab. The fuselage is white with some balsa and the blue foam. But the plane looks great. You'll know just from the dimensions and the side view, it's a stiletto. He just made some changes that he needed to make. And one of the things he wanted to make it quicker. I think he built the plane in 2 weeks max. I mean,
Wow.
and he works full time. So he enjoyed the build. The stuff is very neat to work with. Again, it's made by, who did I just say it was? Yeah, the people that make the floor. And it's kind of a gold foil on top of it. It's kind of in a fan shape. So when you put it together, it's like this. But if you pull it out, I think the section's maybe 12 inches wide, and I'm going to guess 45 to 48 inches tall. Okay.
How thick is it, Mark?
I'm sorry?
How thick is that stuff?
8 inch.
I'd say it's a little bit less. It's close to, I'd say, an 1/8 inch.
Okay.
Okay. He showed how he laminated it. Pretty neat stuff. Because I've been saying for not a long time, a few years now, that I think part of the future of control line modeling is people able to go to a big store like a Lowe's or a Home Depot and get everything they need, or just about everything, to build the airplane, minus propellers and the kind of stuff we can still get, electric motors, batteries. So I like what he did. I like what I saw. It was all standard stuff. There was nothing special about it. The stuff is very easy to cut, and to cut with a very clean edge. And a lot of us use scalpels for that because the blade is sharper, initially.
Mhm.
So it's he's still experimenting with it. But he's going to put more and more flights on it. Those of us who are going to Brodak will see it fly there. And I think it's part of the wave of the future. I don't see balsa supply suddenly making a U-turn. It's just being eaten up by big companies for the wind mills and other things. Giant ships use balsa wood. Corvettes use balsa wood. It has some nice properties that a lot of people like. And we're kind of low on the food chain. So I enjoyed it. It was a good change of pace. And if anyone needs balsa wood, I don't think he'll sell any. But when I went in there and I looked to my left, if you remember the big, who was it? Was it Aeroglass? Some big supplier of balsa wood had this glass case. The top was kind of glass and it had four sides to it, and it had all kinds of compartments inside, and anything in balsa wood you could find in there. Strip wood, dowels, sheets, blocks. He had most of that thing filled up.
Okay.
So I think when Scott's 140, he'll probably maybe start needing balsa wood. But I enjoyed it. It's good to meet new folks and new ideas, and it was fun. So that's what I did.
Very good. Thank you very much. Let me see here. Howard Rush came in next. Hey, Howard, how's it going?
Okay, I built some no balsa or very little balsa airplanes for the 1990 World Champs and combat planes. It gave me a great appreciation for balsa.
Yeah.
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 Using balsa.
Yeah. There seems to be no perfect substitute, at least none we found yet.
Well, Mark Gerber, you have your microphone working? No, not yet. Don't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear you, Mark.
But speaking of marks and the ambiguity there, one time I had occasion to send email to Bob Hunt and Robin Sizemore, the same message, and I was able to address it to Robbins. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's the true name.
Yeah.
Hey,
Howard,
Gary.
do you remember what his brother's name is?
No.
It's something that just fits Robin real well. I can't remember what it is now.
And Batman?
No, it was more of a bird or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They probably called him Batman.
So how you doing, Sparky?
I'm okay. I didn't bother streaming today at all. I need a day off for myself.
Yeah, that's good to do that once in a while.
Now
Yeah.
there's some.
Hey, Howard, I'm going to take your presentation from bell crank ratios and chop it up into a separate video. You still there?
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
Standalone bell
Oh.
crank ratios. That
Okay.
was a suggestion by Dan Winship.
Okay.
You can make it members. You can make it members only.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, post a link to it because people are asking me where to find it, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I could find it if I were more resourceful, but I'm not.
I just been working on this in the last. This thing's only a month old. It's basically ready to put together. Just need to bend a flap horn, solder a flap horn and bend it, and then build a push rod. Then I can put the top and bottom on it. I got the cowl roughed in. It's still put up in the rudders and turtle deck and all that business. We're only maybe a month out from having it finished. So that's where I'm at now. John Suklak was talking about bell crank suspension and wingtip. If you go back on my channel and you look, I've done it 1,000 times. You can't pull that bell crank out and you ain't going to mess up with them wingtips, and they're pretty, you know, the lead outs, they're simple. The lines would break before the bell crank pulled out of the airplane.
Right. Yeah, a suspended bell crank is super strong.
Well, especially on this one here. This one here is suspended with an 1/8-inch piece of aircraft ply and a maple motor mount in a little loop glued against the fuselage. So in order to pull that bell crank out, that 2-inch wire, which there is no way you could assert that much force on it in the center to bend it, would have to pull through the wing, pull through everything.
Right.
You know, if it was a long piece of wire, if it was a foot long, you might get enough leverage on it to bend it by pulling it 80 pounds or whatever. But these are 80 pound, these are Jack Sheik's wires, 80-pound test fishing leader coated. So that's 160-pound pull that you could do on that, and they would break before that bell crank would come out.
I have a question for you, Sparky. This is for Brandon and Angstrom. You know, they're building a SV11. They got the wing out of a built-up fuselage, but they're going to build a profile SV11, so the flaps are short. They don't go far enough to the fuselage.
Right.
Well, what would you recommend as far as lengthening the flaps?
You can do it one of two ways. You can put flap fairings in it, you know, or just glue a piece of wood on the end of the flap and sand it in and finish it off.
Would you butt joint it, or would you put it at an angle? How would you what do you recommend?
Yeah. Right here, this joint here is straight. It's where the flap clip is, and it's butt jointed on there, you know. Use white glue so that it doesn't show the seam. If you use CA, it'll leave a hard line on it.
Okay.
And then just, you know, tissue over the top of it, and as you keep sanding it back and forth, it'll disappear.
Yeah, we also considered, we've got like a 1/64 ply. We thought about kind of putting a little bit of that just in that area to apply it to the original piece, so just that it kind of strengthens that.
Is the flap horn buried into the original piece?
No, it is not.
Well,
Or at least what we were designing, no.
so let's say that here's the flap right here.
Okay.
The flap comes up this way, and it, you know, butts up against this. So you have a horn clip in there, 1/8 of an inch horn clip, and then just glue on a piece of wood on the other side of that so that it's like so, with the 1/8 inch horn clip between it, and then just block sand it till it disappears and your horn's into the flap, if that makes sense, which I've shown a bunch of times on the channel too.
Okay.
Here's what I'm going to do for flaps here out of this piece of wood. So just for example, let me turn this down a little bit. Okay, here's the end of my flap right here. So right there would be the horn clip.
Yep.
And then I would just glue on an extension piece like so. And then just block sand that, and that'll disappear. Just put tissue over the top of it.
Yeah, the problem we were running into is that, and I put it on Stunt Hangar the other day, is we had a horn that was originally designed for the full-bodied SV11. And so, but the thing is, now that I'm making it a profile, I've got to move that horn a little bit to the side off center. So I've still got the joining wire originally. I've taken the tab off. And what Bob Whitley was suggesting was just putting a horn directly on the flap. But
I wouldn't do
obviously
that.
that piece of flap is missing because I got to now join that in. That's where I was thinking about putting the laminate piece of plywood on top of it, because I'm going to have to put that horn directly on the wing.
Move the horn as close as you can to the fuselage so that it clears, and the inboard fairing is going to have to be big enough that the push rod runs over the fairing. Otherwise, it'll hit the flap as it comes up. So
Yeah, we were designing it to have kind of a hole in there.
no need for that. Now, I screwed up on this one. Had I been thinking about it, I'd have bent this horn just a little bit wider, and I would have made the two fairings the same size. But this side here is narrower than this side. But it's just a profile, so no big deal.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But you gotta watch out for the push rod hitting the flap.
Right. Yep. That's that was another thing that we had not accounted for until I made that post, and then I was just looking at somebody's picture. Nobody pointed it out, but at the last moment I was like, yeah, got to account for that, or else yeah, we're gonna have problems there too.
All right, thank you, Sparky. There's a question from Bob Whitley.
Actually, more of a comment. I promised to show how I did it, and I'll just switch the camera here, and just and it works fine. Just a sec here.
Full length.
Wow. Oh.
Okay, this is how it worked out on my vector. The same thing, just a little notch on the trailing edge of the flap. I did like you were talking because I had to extend the flap because this was off of full fuse. And I did inset 64th ply because to provide sandwich force for the horn.
Sure.
And I overlapped it over the wire area a bit just because it wasn't a big deal to put the little small notch, the minimal amount of notch in the trailing edge. Doesn't seem to affect it. Flies okay. Now this is the biggest RC horn I could get and heaviest, and it's working okay. The push rods terminals are those all metal super smooth RC car ball links, which are on a 3mm rod.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just made up a carbon fiber push rod tube with aluminum tubing pressed over it, JB welded on for so that it doesn't split out on the end. And then underneath the tail, same idea, but just oh shoot.
It's gone.
I hit that. I'll try and get back here. It
Back.
there it goes. I think, yeah. I tapped the button on my iPad trying to handle it. Okay, underneath the tail is just a standard RC horn, and I put a bit of reinforcement on that area also just to relieve the chance of crushing, and the same rod ends on it. For the shaft on the rod ends, threaded shaft, I just take 50mm long Allen type metric bolts and cut the head off and roughen up the shank then and insert that, glue it in, pretty much standard procedures. Make sure you roughen up the inside of the tube a bit and clean it thoroughly with acetone or isopropyl alcohol or whatever. And I'd strongly recommend not using the 5-minute JB weld. Just use the long cure stuff and let it sit overnight. It supposedly has quite a bit more strength that way. But anyway, I've been using these for this idea for the last couple of years now, and it's been working out very well on profiles. And I'm also switching out my full fuse planes to this this rod end system. But
yeah,
those are just
You mentioned that horn being a sturdy RC one, but I did get the suggestion of putting a couple of those nylon horns, the ones that can go back to double them. Is that? I mean, it's an
I thought about
SV11.
that. I thought about that, but that's an extra layer of effort to line up 4 holes instead of just that matter then with your rod going between it versus just a nice simple mount. But it's part of it's what is ever available locally for you too.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know if that with an SV11 and the size, again, we're getting into bigger planes than we've dealt with before. I didn't know if a standard, just kind of regular horn is good for that, or if that double horned idea, back to back.
The problem with the regular horns is any I've seen is they're typically the ones with the L bend on them. They're a lot shorter, so that complicates it again for your throw and clearance for the elevator push rod.
Okay.
To get the ratios. So anyway, this works. It's just one way of doing it. There's lots of ways to skin the cat, as they say.
Right. I appreciate you sharing.
Well, I'm going to show you guys something else, if that's okay, Charles.
Hey, go ahead.
Here, I'll move this out of the way.
And by the way, audience, we only have 14 likes. We have 24 concurrent viewers, so please hit the like button. Please consider joining our YouTube channel.
These are the thank yous from last year's contest. I picked them up from Ken Bird today. And this is carved in cherry on his CNC for thank you to all our sponsors. Although presenting it to me was kind of awkward. Lee
cool.
Valley Tools, Great Hobbies, Hobby Wholesale in Edmonton, Princess Auto, and WG Chan and Hardwoods.
You don't understand.
So they've been most generous to us for a contest. Pardon me?
You don't understand why they presented them to you?
One of them's for me.
The rest of them you're supposed to deliver.
Yeah, no, you're missing my joke there, Sparky. The one is presented to my company.
Oh, okay.
And I'm the guy that goes around and gets the donations and presents the awards every year.
Oh, okay.
Thank yous. So it was kind of joking with Ken. Am I supposed to, shake my own hand or what? So anyway, that was that. So I'll probably be going around this Friday with with a stunt plane and do the annual photo thing and present it to them. And I'm going to go for more sponsors this year. So it's should be a good contest at the end of August.
Very good. Very cool. Let me see if I can get back with Mark Gerber. Hey, Mark, you got your microphone worked out?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Fantastic.
Okay. I got a new computer here last week and I'm still learning,
Oh, great.
but it's a lot faster.
I bet.
See if I can share the screen.
Okay.
While he's doing that, just another note, the shape of the trophies is a bit odd. That's the shape of our province.
Oh, okay.
Looks like Indiana.
Yeah, kind of like it. A little bit bigger though.
Yeah, the FAI teams have a habit of making their logos the shape of the country they're going to, and they were going to do that for Poland, and I wouldn't. Poland didn't have much to say about the shape of Poland. They went ahead and made the logo the shape of Poland. I don't know if any Polish people saw it and got offended by it.
What does it look like? I don't know what the shape of Poland is.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what Poland looks like myself.
Yeah, well, it's changed from time to time as people have rearranged it. It moved west, I guess, after World War II. Wasn't their choice.
What happened to Mark?
He came back. He has a new computer, so
Let me try
Yeah.
this again.
all right.
And he's trying it again.
There we go. Okay, you see that?
Yeah.
PT19.
Anyway, last week was beautiful weather here,
Oh,
Monday
nice.
through Thursday. We had temperatures up in the 60 range. So
Nice.
you can see the field here. The grass is very short because it's all
Dead.
shrunk and died out because of the winter. And I did
Very
have one
nice.
day when I had a couple hundred geese over here, so I decided I wasn't going to try to fly that day. But then I've been working on my Bearcat. I'm molding the leading edges here.
All right.
And this is Bob Hunt's technique. He uses vinegar, which I think is a real step up. I used to boil this stuff for 20 minutes, and that's really a hard way to go. And the vinegar, you just lay it on the table, take a brush and get it good and wet all over, and wait a little bit, and it'll bend right around.
Yeah, you use balsamic vinegar, don't you?
No, I use the regular,
Make it brittle.
like
Get a
Bob
steam
says,
box.
it smells like a salad, but so what? And then you wrap the balsa around with masking tape, about 1 inch gaps here to let it have somewhere to let the moisture come out. And then he goes back, and I did too, after about 5 or 6 hours, and then redo the tape so that you have tape where this is open, and then take the other tape off so it has a chance to all dry out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's really required, but Bob usually knows what he's talking about. And so anyway, tomorrow morning I'll take these off. I should have two nice molds for the leading edges. Here's one I made with the first Bearcat, just to show you what it looks like when you're done.
That's nice.
And then I got one of Brent's handles,
Nice.
and just finished putting that together. They come out really nice.
They do.
So anyway, that's what I've been doing this week.
Very good. Thanks for sharing, Mark.
But I got my computer working now. I'm in business here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, looking at those pictures, Mark, of how you're doing the leading edge and stuff, that reminds me of today when I was over at Ken's picking up the plaques. I did a little tour of his shop again, and he's building a new dark side, and he's molding the leading edges almost exactly like you. And he's got some really neat jig setups. Should have taken some pictures. And then we went out to his garage and looked at his Falco full-size home built airplane that he's doing, and it's coming along great. It's gonna be a beautiful airplane. So it was a good time. And then he fired up the computer and showed me how to the rudimentaries of how to turn files, plans, and PDFs and whatnot, convert them to do CNC work with. So eventually I'm gonna want to dive into that, doing that sort of thing. So it was a very educational day.
Very cool. Let me
Fun.
see if
Yeah.
John Miller can talk to us. John, is your bandwidth all right, or are we going to just be watching this tonight, which is fine? Can't hear you, John. We can't hear you. So let me see here. Hey, Carl, it's been a long time since you've been here, Carl. Can you unmute yourself and say hi, see what you've been up to? Okay, no good. All right. And then Lynn Burrell. Lynn Burrell, how you doing, Lynn?
It's a quiet night.
So,
There we
Gary,
go.
what you been up to? Oh, there you
Hello,
go.
gentlemen.
There
There
we
we got
go.
it.
How you doing, Lynn?
I just had to hit the button. Sorry about that.
No problem.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing well.
That's good.
You finished the
Cool.
Twisterette?
Twisterette is all covered, and 3 coats of dope on the fuselage, 2 coats of filler. She's just rolling right along with that one. It's ready for trim on the wings, and then she just has to paint the fuselage and it's done.
Wow.
So that
very
one's
good.
just about wrapped up. I'm working on the Nobler at this point. I'm ankle deep in shavings, carving blocks again. I said I'd never do it again, and I'm doing it again.
Yeah, this is a scratch built Nobler Gieske, or it's a kit built.
A
What is
Gieske Nobler scratch built. So
Very
I got
good.
the fuselage all laid up this week and got the blocks all on it, and so it just looks like a big 2x4 right now, and I'm carving away at it and balsa flying everywhere. It's perfect, just the way I like it.
Very
Life couldn't be better.
Very good. I'm
Life
just
never
thinking
gets
about,
better when you're in a big pile of balsa wood.
you're making me think about when Wendy had that one show when he had his friend, the artist. What was the artist's name?
Oh,
George
George
Ventrini. And he's
Yeah.
making a big plane, and he has that plane, and he's just full of balsa wood all over. Remember that?
Yeah,
That was pretty crazy. Pretty cool.
you betcha. Well, I got all his blocks, so therefore I got to use them all up. He gave me about 15 blocks out of the attic of his garage. I'm going through them. I just keep carving them up.
Very good. That's hard. It's hard to find good blocks of light wood.
I got about 10. I got about 10 of them left, I think.
And
So
they're
it's all
pretty
good.
light.
Most of them are pretty light. There's a couple that are a little on the heavy side. I'm not looking at those too much. I'll use them for fence posts or something. I don't know. But the others are
Use
all
them
pretty
for
darn
forms,
good.
molding balsa.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah,
Hey, Charles,
I cut into one of them today. I didn't have enough wood to make the cowl, so I had to cut into one of the blocks today to get a cowl block. So it was all good.
hey, Len.
Oh, hang on, Stuart. 1 second. Go ahead, Carl. Carl's trying to get my attention.
I just want to say hi to everybody. I finally got my laptop squared away, so.
Oh,
Hey, Carl.
fantastic. Great. Go ahead, Stuart.
Oh, yeah, Len, you know the Cox plane, that the 1-inch square pieces for the bell crank. Do I need one on the bottom too? Of the wing?
It's up to you. Whatever you think.
Okay, well, I didn't know if you should or not.
Doesn't matter.
One,
Here nor there.
Okay.
You're only putting a little wee machine screw in it. Put some epoxy in the hole before you put the screw in. It'll be fine. You don't need
Okay,
2 plates.
that's fine. I didn't know. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
And Philip Bailey came and joined us. Hey, Philip, thanks for the like in the chat box. Appreciate it.
How's everybody doing?
Doing pretty
I was
good.
watching Mark's molding stuff. I agree with about everything, but the vinegar, what Tom Morris and I have figured out. Well, Tom Morris figured it out, and he showed me. You can just soak that balsa in water, just plain water. Doesn't have to be hot. Doesn't have to be anything. Just plain water for about an hour, and bend it around your mold and take. He used Ace bandages, but Al Raby had showed me and told me when I was doing my Bearcat to just use an old sheet cut up in 2-inch strips and wrap that thing, and the sheet will absorb the water and let it off. You only have to tape the ends. And it after you've done it one time, it works so easy, it's ridiculous. You won't believe you didn't do it for so long because it's so simple and so easy. And all you have to do is take your time and go slow, and it just works so easy you won't believe it.
Now here's one. You guys know that I built a steam box. If you build yourself a steam box, if you put that in there for half an hour, you take it out and set it on the mold, it just droops right over it. It's just like a wet.
It
Yeah,
will. It
that's
looks like a
awesome.
noodle. It's as soft as a noodle when you do it that way.
Yeah.
Not all of us have the stuff to build a steam box, let alone a place to put it. My shop's so stuffed now.
One piece of wood is all it takes. 10-foot
Yeah.
piece of wood.
Yeah, but then that steam generator's not cheap either. So,
$70.
well, I thought it was more than that.
No. It's a Rockler steam generator, $70.
That's
And it
pretty
gets
neat.
hot quick. And another thing with that steam generator is you could take a warp out of an airplane because I had a warp flap. I just disconnected the hose from the box and just ran the steam over the flap until it got like a noodle, and I twisted it, and that's it. So
I may
very
have to look
handy.
into that then. I may have to call you and talk to you about that, Sparky. I may have to have one of those. About everything I'm doing now, I'm molding or trying to mold leading edges. And of course, some of the designs you have to take and redo the leading edge to give it a round leading edge. Because most of them want to butt up. A lot of the old stuff especially wants to butt up to a 3/4 inch leading edge. That's just a flat piece of wood and then sand it. And I'd rather mold it and lay it over there. Like I did a Ringmaster 576 and it's molded back to the spars on both sides. Then I've got a Ringmaster, just a regular Ringmaster. It's got a molded leading edge over round front ribs. And the only thing I did was go back in behind it and close it in, box it in with 1/16 vertical grain. Very light, very strong. Have had no problems at all with it so far. So I don't know. Molding is one of the ways to get by as expensive as the balsa has gotten, because you just can't afford blocks. It's ridiculous. Even if you can find them, do you really want to pay that much and then have 2/3 of it end up on your building room floor? I mean, seriously.
Right.
Just make a mold out of foam, blue foam. If you have a problem with it, every 6 inches or so, leave an 1/8 inch gap, make you some 1/8 inch molds out of plywood and inset them down in it. Then take a hot wire. I mean, hot wire system is so easy, it's ridiculous. But make you a hot wire system and just cut that leading edge or whatever, 4 inches at a time, 6 inches at a time, whatever you're comfortable with, and put the pieces together on a piece of wood. And it's really not hard. You just have to think about it and then find a little piece at a time that you can stretch out there and just think of it in pieces instead of a whole. Yeah, I can't mold anything 30 inches long like a leading edge, but I can mold 10-inch pieces of it and then put that together. And then once you put those pieces on a board, then you got yourself a mold. Glue it all up, you got yourself a mold. Go over it with some white glue or whatever and just seal up the foam where it won't absorb water and all. Then if you really want to get crazy about it, take some rattle can paint, cheap paint, just $2 can rattle can paint, and spray over the molds. Then your wood won't stick to it. Otherwise, first time you mold one, it's going to stick to it pretty bad. But if you'll do it, just shoot it with rattle can paint, it works. Now, that's the Al Raby trick. Al told me that trick.
Where can I get that $2 paint? 1970s?
Yeah, well, yeah. I told you, I said Al Rabe told me the trick. I mean, Al's been dead for a while now, but that's what I go to the dollar store and get paint once in a while. Is where I'm saying $2 can. Nothing's $1 anymore. It's $1.25 at minimum. But anyway, just get some cheap paint, just cheap rattle can paint, and shoot it with that, and let that dry and go over it. Just take some 400 sandpaper and just hit it enough to knock any high spots down, like dust that got on it or something, and mold the thing. Put your wood. I like 3/32, but 1/16 works. I just don't like a star torch look you get so much with 1/16. But mold a leading, let that thing sit in the bathtub for an hour. Take it and put it over it and wrap it with bed sheet. Tape down the two ends. You don't even need to tape down the first end. You wrap it over it, and then just start barber poling it down the length of it. Then take the end of it and wrap it past it and tape it down. You can tape it to the piece of wood over here that you put all this on. I always take my molds and whatever the leading edge, spar, whatever it is at the spar here, I cut a piece of wood that mold that lays on it. My mold will lay over that piece of wood, and that's where I've got the sheet over that. And then if I'm going to pull something and pull a low spot in it or, a dent in it, it's going to be in that piece of wood. It's going to be over that piece of wood. So it's not going to do anything. Then if you'll cut it a 1/2 inch longer than it needs to be, or mine's 1/4 inch because I'm cheap, bigger than it needs to be, it comes down not quite to the end of that. Then when you get done, just take a razor blade on piece of wood and run up the length of that whole piece of wood, then you've got a nice clean end with no dents in it. Away you go. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Did you
Makes
guys
it very,
see, did you guys see where I done it on the channel? You know, you're talking about that starved horse look with 16th inch molded. Well, I put two pieces of 16th together with a slurry of 50-50 white glue between it. So what you do, you take wax paper, put it over your mold because you're going to get glue all over it. Hold the first piece down and then smear on white glue on the second piece and then wipe it all off and then put it on top of it and then wrap it tight. So now you got an 1/8 inch piece of molded wood that's light. Long you
it
don't
really is. And the glue that you wiped off the second one will go in the top piece of wood because, hey, it's wet.
right.
It'll all migrate together and the whole thing's strong and light when you finish with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that before and heard from, well, Al and Tom Morris both told me that trick, but I saw you do it and all three of you got it right. It works good. This stuff ain't hard, guys. You just got to think about it.
Right.
If you're supposed to use 332 and all you got's 1/16 heavy wood, guess what? The crush power is about the same. Crush strength is about the same. And the weight is just about the same. It's close when you finish. Just think about it a while.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of cheap paint, I went to Lowe's and their Rust-Oleum spray paint is being clearanced out for some reason. It went from like over $7 a spray can down to $4.48, and then the next markdown is $2.97. So I picked up a couple cans of cherry red for $2.97 each.
That's
So
1970s prices.
yeah, so check out your local Lowe's. I don't know if it's just here in California, but they're, at least in my area in Escondido, they're clearancing out the Rust-Oleum spray paint.
That's the environmentalists getting rid of it. We don't have that here, so it's probably $7 a can.
Yeah, well, check it
I
out.
was in
I don't know.
I'll
I
take a
was
look
in
tomorrow,
Lowe's here
Charles.
the
That's a
other
good
day
idea.
and just checked out the paint area just for the heck of it to see what they were selling acetone for. And around here, normally acetone's going for around about $40 a gallon. They had it on for $21 Canadian. So you might
Gracious,
want
I
to check
bought
that out, Len, if you need any acetone, if it's across Canada or
Thank
not.
you.
I just
I
bought
got-
a
I got
gallon
a-
of acetone today, $11.80 at Walmart.
Which would equate to about $19 to us.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Thinner was $22, but acetone was 11. So whatever.
But speaking of Lowe's, you know how the tags work. Once they get to yellow tag, that's as low as it's going to go. It
Yeah.
goes orange, red, or whatever. There's 3 levels. When it gets to yellow, then they put it on the clearance shelf on the back wall. I bought a gallon of lacquer thinner. I wish I'd have bought all 4 gallons because it was green environmental lacquer thinner. I figured this shit ain't going to work. Well, it does work. And it was $10 a gallon, which normally it's 30.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's crazy.
I should have bought all 4 gallons, but I didn't.
Well, if hindsight
Yeah,
was,
lacquer thinner is still around about between $20 and $30 a gallon here. I get it a bit less because I buy it by 5-gallon quantities from my wholesale supplier, but it's stupid, you know. They're kind of similar in a lot of ways. Why there's such a price difference between acetone and lacquer thinner?
I muted you, Phil, because some background noise that's picking up. I know. I'll blame Vicky on it.
Okay, then I'm going to get out of here.
All right, Sparky,
See ya,
thanks for
Sparky.
coming in. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sparky.
See you.
Yeah, I've got to go too, guys. Be a
righty.
busy day tomorrow. Thanks for everything. Everybody take it
you.
easy.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll do.
Easy, Ed.
All right.
Ed, stay out of
Thanks.
trouble.
Try.
Well, John's in here. Is he able to talk tonight?
I don't know. We'll see. Now his lips are moving. Can't hear you, John.
Oh, evidently.
He's just waving.
Yeah, evidently he's not able to hear or speak again.
Yeah.
I'd almost send him a computer if I thought his Wi-Fi would handle it.
It might be
Doggone
his computer. I think his computer. That happens to me too. This computer, I need to replace my computer also.
Best
Yeah.
thing
Well, I
I
know
ever
down
did.
south of the border, your Wi-Fi, your internet is way better than what we can usually expect here, and ours seems to work. So it must be his computer.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I got a
little
new
pieces.
computer. It made a world of difference.
He lives in the boondocks, though.
Oh, it could be. That could be it.
Yeah, but he used to have no problems. I
Yeah.
think it's just the age of the
Yeah, I
Exactly.
know.
Yeah, he used to be fine, so it tells me that it's probably his computer stuff.
I think he's on a party line.
Lord.
party.
I
That's
got
a
kind of
shame.
well, it's not airplane related, so give me 30 seconds, Charles. Years back when we lived in the country, we were on a party line and we were wanting to sell one of our motorcycles. And I didn't think anything of it. I borrowed an answering machine because we couldn't hear anyone else on our party line. We just knew our ring. And I put the damn answering machine on and went to work and went to check it remotely. And it had all these overlays on it from the pissed off neighbors about those jackasses up on the hill. So I raced home and ripped the party line off or the phone answering machine off and apologized to all my neighbors.
Lord. I remember those things, but I'm not old enough to have ever had one. I guess my parents did, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lordy.
So airplane related was kind of nice the other night. I was getting paid to sit and monitor a student when he was on a night cross country to get his certification for that, his rating. And so while I was monitoring him remotely with my spot tracker, I was hitting the iPad and knocked off a few more sections on my advanced drone course. So it's kind of nice to be being paid to do some model airplane stuff, related stuff.
Yep. Yes, absolutely.
You're doing drones?
Yeah, I'm looking at it as a sideline to the business or something for stick in aviation and get paid for it if I lose my medical someday. So through the Canadian Owners and Pilots Association, I actually won one of the 2 scholarships for paying everything for my advanced drone. I already had my basic. So who's to argue? So that's
what kind of license you have to run a drone? I mean, I don't have a license and I fly one.
Well, this is for
We
the
live in
advanced.
Canada.
Anything over 250 grams, you have to have a basic certificate. And if you're flying in controlled airspace or any kind of restricted airspace, you have to have an advanced. So I got my basic a year ago, and it was worth it for me because it counted as a biannual recertification training for my other pilot licenses, just to keep conformity on that for currency. But then I got the scholarship for the advanced, so I've been doing it a bit at a time. I'm not busting my butt over it, but I feel I should apply myself a bit harder to it because on the quizzes that they've given, I've only been getting 100% on all of them.
Slacker.
That's what I thought.
You're not, Yeah, my cousin does commercial drone work where he does surveys and stuff like that. So he needed to get all kinds of training to do that commercially.
Yeah, this will give me the certification for that, and then I'm going to go for my examiner status so that I can do that also.
We just use it for aerial photography stuff, and my daughter got me into it. She was an insurance adjuster, and before she'd go up on some of the roofs, she would check it out with a drone and see, is it safe to go up there? And her boss found out that she was doing that. He said, no, you're paid to get up on the roof. So she said, well, here, this one here, you get up there if you want to. I'm not going on that roof. And he got up on the top of the ladder, and she threw him up a bar. And she said, here, poke the roof before you try standing on it. He poked the roof. He said, "There's nothing wrong with this." Stuck the rod in the roof. He said, "Okay," and came back down the ladder. He hasn't bothered her. He didn't bother her anymore about her drone.
Yeah.
But she changed jobs after that. Now she works for the state.
A lot of realtors use them for photographing properties and stuff. And
30 seconds is long gone.
Yeah.
Jonathan Carrados is making his way in here. Help. Yeah, Jonathan Carrados, come on in. And Mike Lonke, if you have something you want to share, let me know too. Let's see here.
Mike's got
I'm just
something.
no, I don't have anything to share. I'm just listing a bunch of stuff. I'm doing another sweep of the shop and selling engines and handles and just cleaning house
Good for
again.
you. Awesome.
Trying to raise a little capital. I don't know where I get this stuff, man. I really don't. But you really? I think I got that.
Yeah, you got lots of uses for that.
Get one too.
I think it was in the hobby shop bargain bin at my local hobby shop. Just some junk that came in, and I don't know. I might have paid $3-4 for it, something like that. Bunch of old early style FTV combat handles. I got like 4 of those. Couple of Jay Roberts handles. I have no idea where I got them, how I ended up with them, but they were in a box. So, if I can get $20 for them or something.
Perfect.
Lifting. Now this is an interesting one. I think I
Hey,
showed
that's a Bob Hunt handle.
Yeah, Bob Hunt.
That's a Bob Hunt True Just made by CSC.
Wow.
And I think I got that at the local hobby shop too in the bargain bin. But Denny told me these were pretty rare. Is Dennis on here tonight?
Not yet.
Not
he
yet.
comes in, but he hasn't come in yet.
Yeah, I want to. Go ahead, Howard.
I got one from the Granderson estate. If there's money in them, let me know.
Well, here's the thing. I want to say when I showed this to Dennis last year, or maybe even if it was 2 years ago, I think he said he paid $100 for one.
Holy crap.
Because now I could be mistaken, but I want to say, because Dennis said, boy, I'd like to have that. He says, the last one I got, I paid almost $100 for it. And then he's like, well, I don't think I really need 2, because obviously he doesn't fly it, right? Nobody flies this, but I think they're kind of rare. So I'm going to post it up for like $40 or something and see if anybody bites. Because this isn't a friction lock nut. This actually moves the cable.
Yeah. That's cool.
So it's not like you just lock it down and you pull the cable. You can adjust in flight if you want to make some fine-tune adjustments because the cables move in and out. It's on a worm gear in there. It's like the current FTV.
Hey, Mike, that'd be good for somebody with short arms.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But you got one too, Howard, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know.
I've got one. All us old fogies got one.
I had one. I gave it away.
You gave it away.
I gave it away. I wasn't going to use it. Gave it away.
I don't know. I hope Dennis comes on because he can confirm whether or not I'm misremembering what he said. But I think he said they were rare and kind of valuable. Although
cool.
I don't know why anyone would want to fly with one today, being the handles we have today are probably obviously much better than this. But I don't know. I might find the one guy that just has to have one, and he'll get $40 shipped or something. If it don't sell, then I'll know it ain't worth it, and I'll drop it to 30. Then I'll drop it to 20. Then I'll drop it to 10. Whatever.
Right. Somebody will buy it.
Hey, Mike, if
Yeah,
you drop it to 10 or 20 shipped, I'd be interested just for the hell of it. But at 40, you couldn't pay the shipping.
right. That's kind of what I think. I think I've sold my clean out here. I shipped 9 engines today. Just,
Wow.
stuff we're not gonna use. And I got about 6 or 7 more that I'm trying to get rid of. I
What
don't
kind of
What
want
kind
to
of motors?
what I sold was, and again, I don't know how I ended up with these, but I ended up with a handful of more Foxes. I don't know if you remember, like 2 years ago, I said I got rid of all my Foxes.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up with
Not
like
quite.
half a dozen more different stuff,
Wow.
25s, 35s, and some 36s. And so, and I mean, I'm selling like 30, $35. You know what I mean? I'm not like,
Exactly.
Yeah, I got one of them from you.
yeah. I did sell a nice Super Tiger G21 to Dave Fisher combat motor that went away. I had some new RC motors, some Thunder Tiger 40s and some uh, Magnum 40s, stuff like that. Mark Lumen, I just sold him a nice Tom Dixon LA 46 because I got a few of those I'm getting rid of. I got some Dixon L 46s I'm gonna let go of because we're switching over to the Brian Gardner ones. I've got 5 Brian Gardner motors, so I'm gonna let go of the Dixon ones. And then what else? I sold a PA 40 because I'm never gonna build a 40 size ship for a PA. So Mike Lindler got that. Just cleaning house, man. I don't want to be the guy that has 10 boxes of stuff that just sits there for 15 years, man. I'm the guy that if I ain't touching it and I'm not using it in 2 or 3 years, it's time to say goodbye to it, man.
What'd you let that
Don't use it, lose it.
G2135 go for?
Say again, Len?
You say if you don't use it, lose it.
Lose it. And what did you say, Bob?
What'd you let that G2135 go for?
60 bucks to Fisher. To Dave's a friend. He's an F2D combat friend of ours, and he's been very, very good to Sam and I over the years. So
for that price, if I'd have known, I'd have grabbed it off you too. If you come across another one for a good price, just let me know, okay?
Yeah. I will. That was the one I did not want to sell because I had it on a combat cat. Because I think you asked me, I sold you one, right? I sold you one G21.
No, you sold me 36X.
36X. I'm sorry. Yeah. Again, it was a pretty good motor. I had it on a combat cat, but I just don't fly the vintage stuff anymore, man. We just don't do it. And I'm looking around at all this stuff going, I haven't touched it in 4 years. When am I ever going to use it? And I'm not trying to get like crazy top dollar prices or anything, but something fair and get it into the hands of somebody that's going to use it,
Yeah. Although sometimes, like I kept all my stuff for 40 years and a lot of it I'm using now, the unpacked and got back into it. So you never know for sure. But yeah, if there's too many, like I gave away a couple of my Fox 35s and a few other engines and airplanes too to a young guy.
So who needs a you really, man? It's $100 ship, man. $100 ship.
Mine's nicer. Mine's
out
red.
The lines and reel them back in as you're flying. This is cutting edge stuff, man. No
That's
more
the basic
figuring
one,
out
Mike.
what your line length is supposed to be. Start at 60. If it's too short, you just let out 4 more feet or reel it back in. Dude, this is the stuff here.
Mike, the black one was the beginner's one. I've got the red one.
I didn't realize they had 2 different levels. I thought they were all the same. I didn't know that.
Just different color plastic.
All right.
I've got a clear one.
And aren't some metal? Some are pretty heavy, aren't they? They're not all plastic. Aren't some metal?
I never saw one, but maybe.
I never
They-
had one in my hand till I picked this one up. I'd only ever seen pictures of them before.
They
This is the
feel
first
seen them,
so
I've never picked
awkward when
one
you're
up.
flying with it, with that weight up front and lead outs. They just feel awkward.
Oh, it's got to
you-
be terrible, man.
If you think
I've
Hunt's
seen
handle's
a-
got a lot of overhang, fly one of those one time.
I think I used mine about half a dozen times and just went back to reeling out the regular lines with a hot rock.
I've seen a lot of you reallys, but I've never touched one.
Yeah,
I had
I've
to
never
try
tried-
it one. I had to try one time, and I took it out and tried it, and it made it feel like, I mean, you know, if you want to do a wing over, you kind of, you know, and it just.
I
One flight
never
was
used
enough.
it, but I had one of the clear ones too, and they were for half A's, I think. They were just Acron in them.
I'm going to ask if the old guys here. I got something here I've never seen in my life and never used. And I started in the 70s. So maybe you guys in the 60s know this. Charles, can you make me big? This is a Pylon brand half A handle. I know it's kind of hard to see in there. There's a good picture of it on the back that'll be better. But this is a two finger.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Two finger half A handle.
What the combat guys used to fly with.
You put your middle finger and your ring finger through both of those. I mean, it ain't but that big, you know. It's just two fingers.
Howard, you
And
remember
it's
those, don't you?
I got one.
Look at the price. 39
39
cents.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Wow.
I don't know where
Yeah,
that came from. I don't know where I picked it up. I don't know why it's in a box in my garage.
Mike,
the
you could
price-
probably
You
get
know what was
40
neat
for it
about
now.
that packaging, Mike? The packaging, what was special about it?
What's that?
That and the old perfect ones, and you got a free lead out eyelet
Yeah.
in the package.
yeah.
Don't tear it off.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got an island.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, the local bikies down here used to buy them for knuckle dusters.
The eyelet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Has anybody
The
ever
eyelet's worth
seen,
more than the handle.
anybody ever seen one of these?
Yeah, I've seen one of
Oh,
those
yeah.
before. Yeah.
Perfect.
Seen those
remember that.
before.
Oh yeah,
Perfect,
I have one.
perfect handle. I never saw
Half
those.
a
I think
handle.
those were before my time.
Half a handle that you can't even roll the lines up on.
Actually, no, there's a little indent up there on the top.
That's not.
Yes, you just wrap it. You
On the
wrap it around the
bottom.
handle,
Wow.
top to bottom. You wrap it.
There is a little indent.
It's
Most
there, but it's pretty small.
Before your time, Mike.
Yeah, it's before my
Wow.
time. That's what I'm saying. I
No,
don't even
most-
know who this.
I got a whole shop full of stuff that's before your time.
Well, I want to get rid of all this stuff before nobody wants it anymore, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hate to throw it in the trash. I just look,
I hear you.
I would throw this in the trash. And I'm gonna put this on the site for, $6, man. The cost is gonna cost me to ship it in a padded mailer. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to make any money
Yeah.
on it. Cover the ride and I'll send it to you, kind of stuff, you know?
Mhm.
Little handle.
We all probably have a lot of stuff just like that in our shops that we should be getting rid of it too, but we don't.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I'm desperately trying to, but it's hard sometimes. I have things I want to get rid of. It's just like, this is stupid. What am I keeping all this crap for?
Yeah.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Especially
Never going to use it.
You make a few bucks on it. It's a couple
Yeah, I
tanks
need-
of gas to go to a contest, or maybe a night in a hotel room at a contest, or you could buy something that you're
Yeah, there's
using
another one that should be
nowadays.
sold.
Hang on, make it big.
I
Bob, hang on.
thought they were red, but they were orange.
All right.
Yeah, there you
we
go.
That's some real
Here's-
value you got there.
Here's a couple of. I'll open the Ziploc here.
The orange ones were the Canadian version. They
Oh, okay. NDT
Man.
colors. And here was
Give me
some
strength.
SIG half A starter kits.
Oh, I remember those.
Yeah, I got a couple of sets of them.
Right, thank you. I'll put a thing that fits.
Eventually
That
give them
was
away
mine.
to some kid that maybe we can entice
Yeah.
into the hobby.
the only people
They'll never come back.
the only
Yeah,
people
I know.
who you can sell this stuff to already have it, and they're trying to get rid of it themselves. A
Yeah.
whole bunch of teasers. Those of us who are left.
I have a comment from Terry Forbes. He goes, I remember those half A handles. I flew 049 Combat Kittens and Little Satans. Flew a red plastic Goldberg handle. All right, Terry. Terry's one of our old timers. Where'd Jonathan Carradas go? Oh, that's right. He has family there in daylight, so it's probably a lot going on.
I could show all my old junk too, but I'm not proud enough to do it.
Hey, Gary, don't fall asleep on me, Gary.
All right.
Come on, Gary,
Hey,
stay with
Len.
it.
Yeah.
How you doing, Gary?
Okay.
Good.
Very
Good.
good. Yeah, I
Can you
just
hear me,
wonder.
Len? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
Has anybody ever? Have you ever tried? You know, you're doing your flaps and rudder and elevators. You ever did a profile that's all tore apart? I mean, so you can get to it easy, and then do all the adjustment and keep flying until you come up with what you like, and then put it in a plane. You know, if that so you get to it, you know, it's
Yeah.
kind of open like, you know, and you could change it right there on the field maybe, and
Yeah, that's what's nice about the profiles.
tell
It's
you,
all open. You can actually adjust your profile and fix linkages, links, and all kinds of stuff. That is one nice convenient thing about a profile. Is that what your question was, Gary? Or
yeah, I just wonder if anybody ever tried that instead of building a real nice plane and do something like that where you could try it, and if you had something where you liked it, then you could even give it a whole lot of that or a whole lot of something, and then see what it really does to the plane, whether it really helps it or really hinders it, you know.
I got a way of doing it.
What was that, Howard?
I got a different way of doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, you know.
So if you're building the
wondering
same
if
plane, you mean like one's profile and one's built up, where everything is the same, all the moments, all the
yeah, something like that, you know.
yeah, and then
something
you
you
can
get
transfer it
to,
over,
you know,
and maybe you can transfer once you get over to the built up. Maybe that would work. I don't know. Yeah, I understand, Lynn. I understand. Yeah.
I just know that because when I was way back in there, we didn't do all this stuff. You know, you build a plane and flew it, and didn't know whether it's flying right or not.
Yeah, most of my planes have most of my planes have access hatches.
Yeah,
I have access to the flap horn and the elevator horn in my built-up ships, so that's kind of how I'm able to adjust it. And I always make sure I have access to those horns, both of them, and the push rods.
I don't.
I know. Well, that's because you built it right the first time. I hope to do the my next plane with your help. I won't need those hatches, but I might have them just in case, like fire insurance. You just need it if you house is on fire, but you don't need it unless
if you need oil to lubricate your bell crank. I guess.
Yeah.
It's just a thought.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it.
I mean, someone could have done it way back, you know, in the 60s. Because you had plans, you know, you just did what the plan said.
Well, plans. Yeah, they didn't know. Well, after you figure out a good system, why can't you use the same numbers and everything? I was wondering that. Maybe you can't. Well, if the airplane's not a whole lot different in size. You got to be able to do that. You think? I
Well,
use
Sparky's, go ahead.
I use the same control system in the plane I'm flying now, airplane, but they're the same design airplane. So that was kind of trivia.
Sparky's built several airplanes that
Yeah.
are basically the same airplane. And I was talking to him about it at Brodak, and he says, well, the thing about it is, you know it's going to fly because the other one flew.
Yeah.
It's the same plane. It just looks different. Change the aesthetics, but the plane's the same. He's got a good idea.
Well, look at how many airplanes are pattern masters, just different shape.
Oh, that's the
Pretty
truth.
much. Yeah, like most of mine are pattern masters. I've got Cardinals. I've got, they're all big Jim technology, basically windy technology. I'm not saying that my airplanes fly the best, but you know what? They fly okay, and that's good enough for me.
Well, your standings at Winnipeg this year sure showed that, Len.
Yeah, I've seen
that one
Lynn's
was tough.
okay flying, and his okay flying's pretty darn good.
I think so too. I agree. I saw the video of the team trials up in Canada.
I was a
Thanks,
judge
Charles.
at Brodak, and he flew, and I just, my gosh, I thought he was supposed to be an advanced flyer. I didn't know he was an expert, and he put up a flight. That big, what is that? It was a
Big Cardinal.
Cardinal, wasn't it?
Yeah, the big
Thing looked
Cardinal.
good. That thing looked
It
good.
flies good. It's a good flying plane. CAS
It looks really
77.
huge on the ground, and then he starts flying it, and it just looks like an airplane. I mean, it just works.
Yeah,
he's got his act together, that's for sure.
I wished I'd taken it to the Nats 2 years ago instead of taking that silly bear, because it didn't fly worth a damn compared to the Cardinal. And I spent a lot of months fiddling with that thing and just couldn't get it right.
Did you ever get it right?
No.
Yes, I will. Thanks for that.
It's hanging in my garage. It flies okay, but it's not one of my better ones. That's for sure. The new impact type airplane is probably the best airplane I've got. And I'd say the Cardinal would be the second best airplane I have.
What motor you have in your impact?
PA-61. That's the one I flew at the trials. It flew
okay.
really well. It's really a good flying plane. Best I've had.
Isn't that your Shark you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically an impact. It's
Okay.
got a lot of, it's not far off.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
What
seen a
length
lot of
lines do you
impacts.
fly that on, then?
What's that,
Say it
Jonathan?
again. Say it again, Jonathan.
What length lines do you fly that on, Len?
I believe it's 64 or 65, somewhere in that range.
Oh, right. Yeah, the reason
fly
why I'm
mine.
asking is just, I'm getting a bit further down the road with the Hurricane, and that's got a 61 in it, Merco 61, and I've never flown.
Howard,
well,
what
I have flown a 60 a couple of times, but I've never built one that big. It's a big plane, and I'm just thinking about lines and what thickness are your lines?
18.
18 thou?
Yeah, 18. Oh, hey, wait a minute. Geez, I don't remember if I flew that on Spectra or not. I'm going to have to go take a look. Hang on. I think I flew it on Spectra. I think it was 100-pound test Spectra. Let me just check.
I have a couple of comments in the chat box. Terry Forbes, he says, I've got a vintage Voodoo double kit originally priced at $3.50. And my Greenbox Nobler is marked at $9.95.
Oh, that's older than mine.
Wow.
I'll give him $10.
Now a double Voodoo kit, I think, is about 130.
Yeah, it's amazing, Terry. Some good prices. And Dennis,
you can't ship it for that now.
And Dennis Adamiston, he's a member of our YouTube channel. He said, late like delivered. You gonna come in tonight, Dennis? I'm just about ready to. Here he is. Hey, Dennis, how you doing?
You thought you guys were safe.
Yeah, I was gonna end the live stream actually.
Yeah, I thought I was
100-pound
running
test
late.
Spectra.
Hey, thank you, Lynn.
I was actually doing some model airplane stuff, so that's what kept me from
Oh,
coming
say
here.
it ain't so.
He's trying to get ready.
Great.
I mean, he's not trying. He's getting ready for VSC. So,
oh yeah,
That's it. I was all set. I got my entry, got my hotel reservation. The only thing I need is an airplane. So that's kind of important.
That's
So
usually the thing you do first.
I'll build you a Hurricane.
Oh, Lord.
put a stamp on it, Jonathan. Send it up.
Yeah. Actually, I was wondering, I was about to ask you guys if we were in the after party or not, because I've been at the airfield all day and we run a couple of new families through. We got two new little kids learning to fly. One was about 5 years old and he was flying solo. God, I couldn't believe it.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah. Oh, just everybody was just a gasp. And we had about, I reckon, 25 people all together today. And it was hot. And I rushed home and I was going to either throw myself in the pool down the road or get in the cold shower. But I thought I better jump on here before you guys disappear and just catch up. But no, it was a great day. And I flew too, but I was mainly trying to get the big trainer plane going for the adults, the bigger people, get a decent engine run out of it. Oh, God. Okay. We found a leak in the fuel line, right? We got rid of that. Then we found the glow plug was too cold, so we got rid of that. Then we found the engine was loose, so we got rid of that. And then we found the prop was starting to come off, so we got rid of that. And there was one thing after another. Anyway, we got it sorted in the end. But yeah, the guys had a ball. There was a lot of flying today. A lot of fun.
Jonathan, are you ready to try RC sailplanes? No engines.
I often wonder about that, Dennis. I'd feel like a heretic, honestly. I don't know.
A lot of fun.
I'm not sure. I used to fly real gliders. I used to sit in them and fly them. I don't mean RC gliders. I mean, I was taught by the Air Force down here to fly gliders. And I used to fly right over where we live now, funny enough, on base leg. And I just love gliders. Just love them. Love them to bits. But I've never said to the guys up there, hey, give us the handle. Actually, I might try it, Dennis. I think you've probably flipped the switch just then. I think I'll ask one of the guys if I can have a go.
Yeah, I did it for a number of years. I really enjoyed it. So
yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'll have to chain myself to the control line main gate at the same time, so I don't wander off and get lost. Yeah.
Well, the original Steve Smith in St. Louis came in. Hey, Steve, how you doing?
I am doing great. I thought I'd join up before you guys went to the after party.
Okay.
I have sad news. I put the Vector in last week.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it wasn't pilot error. It was a failure. The push rod from the flaphorn to the elevator pulled out. And I had just done the first dive of the outside square.
Yeah.
And it didn't go anywhere else. Just boom, straight in. So the wing seems to be okay. I'm going to have Sparky check it out, and I'll probably make a new fuselage for it. Completely destroyed the battery and the motor. The ESC is okay, but the controller leads got bent up, so I'm not going to use that again. But I do have I have the Blue Angel that I got from and the Naki that I got from Walt Brownell. So Mark Hughes and I are going to go out tomorrow. Weather's going to be reasonable, and I'm going to see if I can get the Naki to fly decently. So that's my story so far.
Hey, I'm sorry to hear about that. Can you tell me what happened with the push rod? Did the
It pulled out.
What do you mean? You had a titanium end in one side and that pulled out?
Well, okay, it was the stock stuff from the Brodak ARF.
Okay.
So, and I really, I mean, I replaced the horns, but I did not replace those push rods. And the push rod end pulled away, it pulled out of the carbon fiber tube. And they probably didn't use JB Weld or
Man, so
whatever.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So as soon as I hit the down on the outside square, I could feel it. And the guys that were around could hear a pop, and nothing moved after that, just went straight
Oh
in.
man, sorry. That's
So I guess the lesson is on an R for an arc or even a kit, double check that stuff, and if it doesn't look good, replace it or make it better.
yeah, make it yourself. Make sure it's done right. You know, I hate when mechanical failures. I don't mind if I crash a plane, I learn a lesson. But if I have a hardware failure, that really makes me upset because I don't really gain from that. You know, if I have a crash, I'd rather learn a lesson for my
Same
flying.
thing.
Well, the
Next
lesson
time.
the lesson I learned is not to trust what's in the kit
Yeah.
or the ARF. You know, got to look at everything, and if it doesn't look good or doesn't look right, like I said, either replace it or fix it.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe
Steve, that's like my smoothie that went in last summer. On the first flight after I bought this used smoothie that supposedly had flown a bunch. Should have pull tested it because less than half a lap, up lead out ripped out from the through the crimp, and kaboom.
Yeah.
Now the smoothie I put together, I replaced the entire control system. It was garbage.
Yeah.
So I should have known better and pull tested it or ripped it open
Well,
before it was flown.
Yeah, although Mark Hughes helped me put that ARF together, and we did replace the horns, but we didn't look into those push rods, I guess.
Did you assemble those push rods, or were they already assembled?
They were already assembled in the kit.
Some of those are, I mean, they're pitiful.
Yeah, they didn't flex or anything, but I don't know what they glued the ends in with, but it wasn't epoxy or JB Weld. It must not have been.
Wasn't anything
Well,
any
Steve, on
good.
my SV11s, the one I put together, I grabbed the ends of the push rods, clamped them, and gave it a heave on them, and
Yeah,
the ends pulled right out. So I just
Okay,
made new
well,
push rods out of carbon fiber.
yeah. Well, I got an SV11 ARF, and I'm gonna have to do that because I can't trust
The bell
what's in
crank and
kit.
lead outs were fine on it, but the push rods, I didn't even consider using them.
Yeah, it's I mean,
How
I
often do you
don't
guys?
I don't know for sure, but it's almost like they glued them in with hot glue.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. How often do you guys
Together with.
try it again,
How often do
Jonathan.
you guys do pull tests? How often do you guys pull test? We try and remind each other that if the plane hasn't flown, hasn't been at the field for a few weeks, we usually kick off with a pull test.
Yeah, no, we
And
pulled
give the controls a bit of a good workout and put a bit of stress on them, because boy, we found out the hard way too.
Yeah, well,
Hey,
I had dozens of flights on that
you
plane.
think it's okay, and you're
Yeah,
in the air and the bloody thing breaks,
right.
and man, you can't get out and walk away.
Well, my very first contest ever back in the early 70s, I had a Sterling P-51 Mustang. I think it was labeled F-51, same thing. And I built it exactly stock, had it covered in monocoat. And, you know, it flown a lot, but I'd never done a pull test. But at the contest, it was a pull test. The stock bell crank mount just ripped right out almost instantly. So there I was, hurriedly putting it back together with 5-minute epoxy because we didn't have CA in those days. And I got it back together though and had fun.
Yeah, I had.
But that was a lesson in, you know, bridging bell cranks. And I went to a, you know, sort of a triangulated truss thing all the time because it still just used the bottom plate because we didn't know about suspended bell cranks then.
Oh yeah, Yeah, I was at a contest in Kentucky. Oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the town now. It was one of Brickhouse's contests in
Paducah.
in Paducah, and I must have messed up one of the lead out wraps outside of the wing, and in the pull test it pulled out, and Jim Lee was there and he helped me rewrap it, and I was able to fly. But I screwed up something, didn't do something right on that lead out because it pulled out, or it pulled apart, but at least it was during the pull test and not during a flight. So
Well,
that
a couple of years ago on Hangout here, Steve, I was opened up the Smoothie ARF box unboxing on Stunt Hangar. I looked in the wing and thought, this isn't good. I had two frayed cables on the down lead out.
Oh my!
Just
At the
split.
bell
They were
crank?
about an inch outboard of the inner of the bell crank.
Wow.
Of the bell crank crimp. So I just cut them out and fished new ones through. And actually, I redid that whole bell crank assembly on Hangout. But
Nice.
but I replaced 100% of the control system in that Smoothie.
Yeah, it just goes to show you gotta look it all over and replace what doesn't look or feel right.
You know, with the ARF, Noblers and stuff, are those bell cranks and what have you, are they lubricated with a bit of grease or?
They're just plastic. They're just like
So
a
there's no
copy of a big
lubrication.
plastic one.
No
The ARF
lubrication.
Nobler?
Well, I know the Smoothie one is. It's just a SIG
Okay.
type bell crank.
Yeah, no. The Nobler has a steel one.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
Aluminum, actually, but same difference.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that if you had a nylon bell crank, a SIG bell crank, and you had a wire going through it, my mind tells me, okay, the wire is going to cut through the bell crank. Not so. The bell crank will cut through the wire.
Oh.
Yeah, but Phil,
I agree.
Phil, the nylon melts when you go through Mark III.
And something I've never been a fan of is Z-bends stuffing it in, because you got to have an oversized hole, and by the time it's through, you've already got a bit of slop happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we had one that came apart at I think it was something like 1,000 flights. I don't know. It was All American Senior and had nearly 1,000 flights on it. And we looked to see what was going on. Had to bust into it a little bit to see, but it had broken. The cable had broken, and we had a bit of trouble getting it out of the end of the wing to look at it. But the lead out itself had cut. And I figured, okay, it cut through the bell crank because he didn't have brass tube through the brass or copper through the bell crank. It was just the wire.
Yeah.
I tried to
the
all
wire.
tried to tell him, don't do that. But anyhow, we learned after that one, you always put the brass tube in there because it did cut through it. And it wasn't the nylon cut through. I mean, the wire cut the nylon. The bell crank, you could still reuse it. Looked like a new one. But the wire was cutting too.
That's I had the opposite experience. The combat planes, the wire would cut through the nylon. Probably different wire.
And from here on in, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just gonna keep using those homemade phenolic stacked slotted bell cranks with the eyelets for a pivot.
Yep.
Absolutely nothing can go wrong, and they're silky smooth.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Talking
1,000
about
flights, I don't care.
I'd like to get some
talking
of them.
about bell cranks, Howard. Your lesson the other night was really thought provoking. I went to bed and I couldn't sleep for ages, tossing and turning, thinking about it. And
most people to sleep.
Jonathan, you need a hobby.
Yeah, that's right. I was wondering about control line, yeah. But anyway, what I was going to say, Howard, is you know how we're talking about linear motion and stuff, and how if you graph that bell crank and the force that it applies and the curve bends, you know, towards the end of the throw, with the circular bell crank, is that now I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say here. Look, I'm in territory here that's beyond me really mentally. You know, with the circular bell crank, okay?
Yeah.
What is the advantage of that? How does that work? Does that keep the push rod moving out at a constant rate? Or is it also a progressional thing towards the end of the rotation? I can't quite dig it. You know, I can't quite figure out. The other thing I can't quite fit. So there's two questions. One, what's the advantage of a circular one? Two, why would you not move the pivot point well up inside the bell crank, almost to the output end in some cases? Would that not give you pretty much a linear force on the elevators and flaps? It's probably too much there too.
What was the last one?
Okay, with the well, yeah, I perhaps shouldn't have mixed the two together. One is what's the advantage of a circular bell crank, if you like.
Yeah.
And the second one is why can't I'll draw it. Why can't we make bell cranks that look like this? Bear with, I'll be there in a minute.
Okay, the advantage of the circular bell crank is little holes in the ribs. Why can't you make a bell crank looks like that? I wrote a short monograph on that. It's in Stunt Hangar.
You've already written about that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's it
Look
under?
up something like self-centering bell cranks or something like that.
Yeah. Centering.
Okay.
I think that's the bell crank style Sparky put in his latest Viper.
Oh,
Similar anyway.
I don't think that's a good idea. Dennis does.
Dennis used to think it's a good idea, and then I talked myself out of it.
Now,
Hey, I won junior stunt and senior stunt in the Walker Cup with a bell crank that looks like that. And after all that, I decided it really wasn't the right way to make a bell crank.
Yeah, and I have.
Why, Dennis? Why?
Well, consider for
He
a
hates
moment
winning.
when you're okay, it does self-centralize or self-neutralize because you have the force acting on these arms, and it just kind of stabilizes itself. However, when you pull on one side, that the line of the lead out through the pivot actually gets shorter, and the line through the other side gets longer. So along with all the forces that Howard was talking about with the hinge moments and everything like that, you have to overcome the simple mechanical disadvantage that the bell crank is literally fighting.
Yeah.
It's fighting you to not move. Okay.
Is that because of the loading on
even if the bell crank didn't have an airplane on it, when you start pulling on it that way, that the bell crank, because the self-centering functionality also wants to prevent it from moving. All right. It as you move it one way, it wants to force, and you're literally the force gets worse the farther you try to turn it.
Yeah, it's
so are you losing mechanical advantage in terms of fighting that air
the bell
pressure
crank
on the
is
flat
fighting
seat
itself,
elevators?
and the amount of power delivered through the bell crank is getting quickly less. The farther you rotate it, the bigger the loss, proportionally.
It's adding to the hinge moment and stuff you have to overcome with this spring between you and the airplane. So
Now, if you really want to stay awake at nights, consider that same bell crank mounted backwards. So it's like that.
Yeah.
Howard, have you looked at that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in
What'll
there.
happen with that is actually the more you deflect it, the less resistance you get. And you can get to the point where the thing can it can become so unstable as to become
Turn inside out.
unflyable. It'll take off all on its own. Because the only thing that's going to it's going to be fighting is the load of the elevators and flaps on it, which means you could be anywhere with it. So
it could reverse itself. What about if this was? See, here's another thing you could throw in the equation.
You want to keep talking?
What? Get the program and play with it. Hey, actually, that's something you could probably do with your mechanical model.
No, you couldn't.
Well, exactly.
You
but what I was going to say is,
the mechanical model won't tell you anything because it's all in one plane. It's not.
Well, as far as the bell crank fighting itself,
there's that disadvantage, right?
The self-centering bell crank is subject to line tension.
Yeah,
it's the moment on it is proportional, or is a function of line tension, and that thickens the ply.
Yeah.
So look
I
at
understand
that.
once you're in the air, there are other dynamics involved. But I wonder what effect the flaps and elevators would have if you could work out a way of, a graduated spade like they had on the back of the Spitfire, for example, on the elevator. If you could do that to your flaps as well to help. So you're getting actually a mechanical assistance from the airflow.
Yeah.
That's something worth looking at as well. And the other thing is, go ahead.
You know PJ Rowland?
No.
Australian. He uses balance tabs. I use balance tabs for.
Okay, I'll look him up. He's not far away. And what about the round? What about the round bell crank?
It makes it doesn't cut as big a swath out of the wing with the lead outs. That's its advantage. But mechanically, you can work it out. I don't fancy the bother of doing that. If you have a round bell crank, then you probably want to have a round control horn and so on. That's what we do in full scale quadrants, we call them.
Yeah. Jonathan, one thing we talked about last week that I could see an advantage for a round bell crank, it's not just smaller holes and ribs, but when you're building a biplane or something and you're having the lead outs coming out of the fuselage, you don't have that big ugly slot.
Yep.
Again, right.
I guess the role model would be, Ted Pancher was a proponent of round bell cranks for a long time. Had several designs published and, why he wanted to use it and stuff. And over time, he gave up on it.
Yeah, I think he had it in his imitation, didn't he?
Yeah, the imitation,
the
excitation.
And I don't know for sure when he stopped using it, but I think it was sometime it was through the 80s. I think he was still using it. I don't know when he quit.
Yeah, Joe Blow.
I would still like to build one sometime, just cause,
Just because
it's one of those things I'd like to see how it works and if there is anything there. But
you could do it on the ground with using arithmetic and stuff.
Well, I don't want to do it with arithmetic. I want to do it with a fancy Excel spreadsheet. So next time you check your email, you'll see my my humble request. I hope you can send me that. I'd like to mess around with a few things.
So guys, do we want to jump back a few minutes?
Hang on. Let me cut in for a minute because I got some comments and I want to say hi to Jim Hoffman. Terry Forbes says, I love RC soaring. And Brent Williams says, hola. And then Marcel Legrand says, I have about 20 RC gliders. And then Terry Forbes goes, hey, Marcel, you got me beat. I've got 14. about a dozen vintage kits, Great Plains, Spirit, and Airtronics. And let me say hi to Jim Hoffman, and then we're going to end up closing the live stream. Hey, Jim,
We
how's
also
it
got to
going?
say, we got to say
Hey, Charles.
congratulations to Jim Hoffman too, because
Oh.
he just won the contest in Classic with his new Lunar. Did very
Oh,
well.
really?
Oh, congratulations, Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hey, there's one pink airplane pilot to another. Pink rules, doesn't it?
Yeah, that discussion came up on Saturday, I think. Pink airplanes.
Oh, anybody ask, tell them it's a scale model. So scale
nice.
model of a model. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, I'm
great.
not smart enough to come up with a paint scheme like that. I'm smart enough to copy one, but not to invent it.
Well, you're smart enough to look at that and say, you want me to do what? You know, you would have never come up with that because you got too much sense. But
yeah.
Remember,
Sounds
that,
like a
was
winning
designed,
formula.
that was designed by a 14-year-old kid who had nothing but wild ass imagination. So
Yeah,
I want to know how the
great eye,
14-year-old.
though. Great eye.
I want to know how the 14-year-old kid was able to come up with that and put it on the plane. Because Lord, that's a
Yeah.
complicated paint scheme.
mhm.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'll build the
to be
airplane if
14
you'll paint
again.
it. I'll build the airplane if you'll paint it. I've got some great wood downstairs, but Lord, I don't want to paint that thing.
Hey, Jim,
Oh, look at that.
proof
Thank
that
you,
I'm
big.
trying to get ready for VSC.
Oh,
I can
nice.
get the darn thing aimed.
Shiny.
Yeah.
Look at
I
that.
like that baby blue.
That's
That
very
looks
nice.
good. That looks very good, Dennis.
Well, right now it just looks really blue. I just see in the camera there, it looked like it was green, but it's medium blue. And I was trying to duplicate that one version that Jim Sohavy made, and did confirm something else, by the way. The airplane wasn't called a Gypsy until about the fourth or fifth one he made. Then he finally called it Gypsy. So here it was just his oversight. It was just his big Nobler. But
Is that finished in dope, Dennis?
no,
Okay.
all money coat. Hey,
Even
it's
fuse
Okay, because
box?
it looks like a clear coat over Bahama blue for dope.
The color, the monocoat color is very much like Bahama blue. I think that was the color of the original. I'm looking at some pictures and it looks, I know it wasn't a light blue, like a baby blue or something like that. It was that, I think I'm pretty sure it was Bahama blue, but at least indoors, this thing looks like it might be a little dark. So I'm not.
Yeah, I painted a full size airplane with that color dope one year back in the 90s, and I still have about half a quart of it.
All right.
So Denny, is that top flight dope?
That's top flight dope. Yes. Not luster coat.
Is
Top
that the
flight,
big
but not
gypsy?
luster coat. So
Is that the big gypsy or the little gypsy?
There's two different size gypsies? I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's a 35 size and a 46 that I know of.
yeah, well, the Noblers were around 550 squares, and he built his first airplane of this series. Like I said, it wasn't called Gypsy then. There was apparently a 600 square inch airplane. It was just a smidgen bigger. Still had a Fox 35 in it, and probably a bit challenging for the Fox 35. The airplanes didn't really perform. I don't remember them performing really all that well. Just looking through Win Paul's book, they were trying to see if they had a picture of this one. I didn't get a good picture of it anyway, but any rate, he had some that were red that were among the prettiest airplanes I've ever seen. He had those at the 66 Nats in Chicago, had two of them. And I know he's complaining he didn't fly very well, and he's trying to get some help from George Aldridge on trying to trim it. And I don't know. I don't think George was terribly impressed with it either, but the red ones didn't stick around very long.
Bob Hunt's showing a whole bunch of old pics that
Yeah.
he's posted.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got something along that line.
Yeah, he hasn't had much of the Midwestern stuff. He's certainly got a ton of East Coast stuff, and then he's got a lot of stuff from BSC and stuff. But I've never seen anybody try to duplicate the Sohavy's blue model, which is why I wanted to do it, even though the airplane he built was not on this airframe. It was a smaller airframe and everything like that, but nobody ever did the blue one. So
Danny,
Going
what electric motor are you putting in it?
I'm sorry?
What electric motor are you putting in it?
I'm going to use the same power system as I have in my Bowbest, and that'll be the Brodac 2826, a 11.6 badass pusher prop, Phoenix CSC, and I think I'm going to need a little nose weight, so I'm going to use the 3500 pack, the 4S 3500. But I'm actually up to using that on the Mobest too. The airplane is about 30 squares bigger than the Mobest, and I think it's going to be about 5 ounces lighter. So
nice.
So I'm
Dennis,
pretty sure I'm going to have enough power and enough battery for that. So
Dennis, when you do the fuselage, you say that's all monocoat, right? All shrink wrap stuff. How many pieces of monocoat do you put on the fuselage? And do you start at the tail and work your way forward for the overlaps?
Yes.
How would you do it? How many pieces would you use?
Well, let me get my visual aid here. Oh my God, I broke it. Oh, I did each side, the whole side. Okay.
Okay.
In one piece, top to bottom, and
right.
The joint is here. Then I did the front, top to bottom, in another piece. All right. So
Okay.
that's really about 4 pieces for the fuselage, not counting a few. I do put in some of the intersections and stuff. I'll put some little extra pieces, and that's not counting like this piece. You know, here, this little cap. Oops.
And is there any special treatment that you? How do you manage the joins so they don't start peeling off in flight?
First off, because it's electric, I don't have anything acting against the glue on it.
Yep.
But I just make sure I get like a 1/4 inch overlap like they recommend, and just make sure that it's heated. Make sure it's heated down. You go over it with an iron. You can make the seams almost disappear.
Yes.
The seam I have it in the fuselage, right here. Oops.
Yep.
Seam is right here. I'm going to have a stripe going across the fuselage over that seam, so it's going to help hold it. And I'm also, where the seam goes over the top, I'm going to have an anti-glare panel up there.
Yes.
So that should hide it too. So
beautiful.
Is that going to be a part or a one-piece airplane when it's done?
I hope it's a take apart and not a come apart. All right. But yeah, it's take apart in the sense it has a bolt-on wing, which still makes it a lot easier to handle. It makes it nice to work on, if nothing else. It'll make it a little. I would imagine that most cases I'll put the wing on. I probably won't take it off a lot. I won't take it off routinely just to get to the field because the airplane will fit in my car in one piece. But on those occasions, like going to VSC, and afterwards, my wife is going to join me out there, and we're going to try to take a trip along the West Coast there and stuff. I'm going to try to take the wing off, take the fuselage off, and try to hang it up from the roof of the van in such a way that it's not in the way while we're traveling. And,
how far up are you coming? How far up the West Coast are you coming?
Right now, we're trying to do checkoff boxes. So we're looking. She's got an aunt in Escondido.
Yeah, hope to see you.
We're going to be follow the coastal highway, Oregon, Washington, and hopefully we're going to hit Idaho, Montana, and North Dakota. We haven't hit any. We're trying to check off all 50 states. All right. So we're trying to check off the basically the West and Pacific Northwest, and then I guess you'd call it the northern or almost Midwest.
Let me give you a tour of the guest bedrooms here at Stonehenge.
Wow. Dennis, if you do in North Dakota, we're only about 4 hours north of there.
Yeah, but that's even colder there than it is in North Dakota, right?
No, actually, they've been colder than us. We've been, except for that 40 below snap we had for about 3 weeks, we're at freezing or above it. It's just a few degrees below freezing now.
Mm-hmm.
You're Edmonton, aren't you, Bob?
Howard's
Yeah.
trying
Oh,
to tempt
man.
you. He's showing you your
Yeah, I
guest
got a mate in
bedroom.
Edmonton. Yeah.
This is the Cox bedroom. This is where the Coxes stay.
All right.
And over here is the Alan Ressinger bedroom, which has on the bed right now. We'll move this when you come, but
All
there's
right.
Oh, it's still around. Good.
One of the last the Granderston estate airplanes, huh? So
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, it's
and out
pretty.
and it's dark now, but there's Circle One out there
all
somewhere.
right.
So
you
yeah,
are up by Seattle, correct?
it's south of Seattle, Olympia.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there's your Rosie the robot.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where it stopped.
We call it Rosie after the Jetsons' old robot made.
Mm.
So yeah, please do stop by and stay a while.
That's quite the
Have
nice
you got
offer.
a booking brochure, Howard?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you got a booking brochure?
Oh,
Hey, Charles,
Yes.
before we go, we were talking about old kits and prices and stuff and waxing nostalgic. I
Yeah.
grabbed a couple of old boxes from my kits, and here's
All right.
original Sig Chipmunk
Oh,
box
there you
from
go.
about
Oh, wow, that's
1974.
Aw.
That's the
Oh,
coveted
God.
one too. That's the one that's
That's the
actually
CL3.
classic. That's
The
classic
CL3,
legal.
yeah. So it's rebuilt, just waiting on it. Made a molded canopy and paint. It's been in that state for about 3 years. So and here's a flight streak that I think it was 1974, maybe 75 when I bought this one.
Yeah.
And the prices were comparable to the US at that time up here. And here's the old Midwest King Cobra,
Nice.
1795.
Yeah.
Now you think
Is that,
about it.
is that profile, Bob?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
profile.
that was the profile.
Okay.
Yeah. But the wood in that though is you could have used it as construction timber though. The thing was a pig. But plus I didn't know much about building. At least I didn't ruin the weight with the covering because I used monocoat. But it didn't last long. Wasn't too good of an airplane. But you know, you think about it, prices like that back in the mid 70s, they were pretty bloody expensive for a kid.
Oh, they
Yes, in those days. Yeah.
And decent pay for an adult in industry was about $5 an hour. So
Yeah.
you know, you
that'd
look
be
at
right.
that compared to now. You know, we think of it. You look at a kit like my Twister. When I picked it up, it was $100, and not that I've looked at it, but you know, I'm rating at $75 an hour now. So really, it's a hell of a lot cheaper to buy it now than things like that were then.
Yep.
If you figure the number of hours you have to work for it.
Yep.
I was just telling somebody the other day, Bob, here in New Zealand, I started teaching up north out in the country. Mind you, we had a
Jim.
brand new schoolhouse for $4.50 a week. But I was earning $4,500 in 1977 for my first year of teaching.
Yeah.
Amazing. Our
Yeah.
bill
Well, I
for
had it good as
groceries.
a kid for the hobbies and stuff because my airplane addictions, because I worked part-time at an oil field shop and I'd go in after hours with had the key and I'd be all by myself and I'd be sandblasting and caustic tanking and painting and cutting torch and everything. Nowadays the occupational health would freak out, but I was paid $5 an hour for that. And
Yeah.
on Wednesday nights and Saturdays I was in the military reserves, so I was being paid that too, paid to blow up things. So I really didn't have it bad as a kid.
Cripe, I started off at Joe's Hobby Center while I was still in high school. Worked for $1.25 an hour. And after
Hey guys, I'm gonna end the live stream and
Sure.
appreciate you guys coming in. Thank you very much. And let me see here. So today's Monday, so hopefully you have a chance to do some work in your shop or go do some building, do some flying, and come back Friday and tell us all about it.